If you bored, then stop complaining. Tap into Slightlee daily. Pods and blogs and playlists. Everyday entertainment. Slightly to the daily. Slight to the lead to the. If you bored, then stop complaining. Tap into Slightlee daily. Pods and blogs and playlists. Everyday entertainment. Slightly to the daily. Slight to the lead to the daily.
Welcome back to the Slightly Daily Podcast. This is episode number 74, Slight, L-E-E, Daily. Wherever you can find podcasts, it's there. Google Podcasts, whoever the fuck uses that. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. YouTube is where most of it is. Go ahead and subscribe. We're on the road to 200 subscribers. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. I have a brand new guest, a brand new face for you guys. Please introduce yourself if you do not mind.
My name is Dayton Potts, but I go under the stage name Arkham Lovecraft.
Arkham Lovecraft. That's a unique name. Just at surface level, you see it like on the phone screen or like in writing. Arkham Lovecraft. It's like it sounds like a band name or something, or you know what I'm saying? Like it fits like the music persona.
I definitely put quite a lot of thought into it when I was like officially choosing a name, because I always used to make fun of the guys that had little in the front of their name, or just
young
anything,
so-and-so,
any of those cliches. So I ended up picking Arkham Lovecraft. It actually started off, instead of being my stage name for my music, started off as I would write short stories when I was in like high school.
Okay.
That would be like horror based, and of course my favorite author growing up was H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay, what does he do?
H.P. Lovecraft is like a 1920s to 1930s pulp fiction horror writer. I'm sure you've heard a lot of his stuff without realizing it's his stuff. The Necronomicon, Cthulhu.
I'm not too familiar with it, but that's really interesting. 1920s. That's a whole 100 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Is your mic hooked, or is your headphones hooked up?
Not really.
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, there we go. That's
you
a
good?
lot better. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll just make it sure, because when you get these headphones in, man, it locks you in.
It really does.
Sorry, man. So, these texts, these stories and stuff is literally like 90 to 100 years old. How did you get tapped into that?
I've kind of always read stuff, old and new, especially growing up as a kid. I didn't really have a whole lot of friends, so I had way too much free time.
Okay, so reading.
Read a lot,
Nice.
learned a lot of useless skills.
So was this stuff like you like got from the library type stuff, or was it like?
It's a little bit of both. Like I would go to the library.
Like, did the school libraries have this kind of stuff, or was it like more like line ball library?
More like line ball library, but my dad was also an avid reader, so I had a
Nice.
hell of a book collection growing up as well.
Cool. Arkham Lovecraft. So that's where the Arkham came from.
That's actually where both of them come
Both
from.
of them.
So
Okay.
a lot of people get the Arkham confused with Batman, obviously.
I'm not a huge superhero guy. Like, I'm more of sci-fi anime type stuff. But when I hear Arkham, I instantly thought of Batman. I was like, oh, cool. I was like, that's a cool homage to Batman. And I was like, okay, maybe we can,
As much as I love DC Comics, instead of Batman, I'm more of a Lobo guy.
Okay.
No, I chose the Arkham. Arkham is one of the cities in an H.P. Lovecraft story.
Okay.
That's basically like a sunken city of fish people that hail this ancient god that H.P. Lovecraft created.
H.P. Lovecraft. How prestigious was he? Because for his era.
He's very much like a Vincent Van Gogh type person.
Okay.
When he was
Of the short story.
he was.
Well, short story, or was it like more novels?
It was a little both. So he
Okay.
would write novels, but mainly he would do short stories in like
Okay.
pulp fiction magazines. So
Yeah,
he would buy like these old comic books
Yeah.
back then,
Kind of like
and they
bite-sized stories.
and they would have H.P. Lovecraft, L. Ron Hubbard, the dude that created Scientology.
Okay, yeah.
The dude that did something. I'm Conan something. I'm not 100% sure of his name, but he's the guy that wrote the Conan books.
Oh, nice.
Actually, I believe his name was like Robert Howard or something like that. I might be wrong on that.
Okay.
Quick Google search. Somebody can fact check.
Man,
me on
one
that.
day, you ever watch Joe Rogan? He's got his Jamie.
Jamie.
I need a Jamie, man. I swear. One day, man, we'll get there. But whenever I get out of the living room.
But he would he would write novels as well as short stories. He was more known for his short stories.
Okay.
He was mildly successful, but for the most part, he was very lowball writer. He was not appreciated. But after he died, because he died in like 1930 something.
Oh wow.
And ended up, I'd probably say about 30 to 50 years later, his work got a lot bigger because it just inspired so many different horror creators, like John Carpenter's The Thing.
Okay.
Ancient beasts that live within the depths of the earth and space and stuff like that.
So this man created this stuff in the 20s, roughly 20s and 30s, and it didn't start gaining popularity until the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Roughly. That is like, man, it's happened a lot in the entertainment industry. I wonder why that is. You know,
some stuff is just really ahead of its time.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Especially considering at the time period that he was around, like the early 1900s to the 1940s, the Depression era and World War I and World War II. You know, there's so much stuff going. Yeah, so much stuff going on in like America that people didn't have time to go out and read a book
leisurely. They were working.
No, 20 hours a week for 20 cents. You know?
Exactly. for a quarter. You good?
Yeah, just accidentally hit the guitar.
So, all right, man. Let's take it back just a little bit. You know, I know you've watched the podcast before, and it's not. I emphasize the word podcast because I don't want it to feel like an interview, but obviously it's going to have some elements of an interview. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So, take me back, man. Let's go through the cliche music. When did you start getting into like physically playing your own music and creating your own music?
Physically creating and playing my own music.
Yeah, like recording and that type of stuff. You know, like when did you personally, when did Dayton start making music, writing music?
That's kind of a hard one to necessarily decipher.
I kind of left it open.
When I was a little kid, my parents got me a bunch of guitars, those little like Pee-wee ones.
Yeah.
And I probably destroyed about 6 of them before I ever was like, actually, all right, I'm going to learn how to play this.
Yeah.
It's probably about 9-10 years old.
Like 4th or 5th grade type shit.
Yeah, something about that. I've always had like a love for music and listened to a bunch of different stuff, everything from classical, thrash metal, punk, rap, country, just a little bit of everything. So always had that love of music, but never really started creating mine until I was about 10. When I was about 9-10 years old, I picked up a guitar, started learning a couple chords, and I never actually had a class or had a teacher. I was completely self-taught.
Really?
Yeah. So I did that, and I ended up forming a couple. I think my first band that I formed was actually a band called Nevermore.
How old were you when you did that?
6th grade.
6th grade.
So 11 years old.
So tell me who was in this band and how did you guys come together?
It was mostly just childhood friends that were in the school. You kind of
neighborhood friends.
Not even neighborhood, just school friends. Really.
Okay.
But we would basically meet in the band practice rooms.
Okay.
Because we were all in band and choir. And
what school did you go to?
I went to Christiana Middle School.
Okay. So you guys would meet up in the band practice room.
Yeah, we would meet up in the band practice room and just play and make some music. It didn't really turn into much because we were sixth graders.
Did you guys actually write music? Like you guys actually wrote some songs?
Oh yeah, me and my friend Tanner, who was actually in the band, he was our lead guitar player, and I was rhythm guitar and vocals. We actually wrote a song together and played it at the talent show.
Oh, nice!
After the band had disbanded.
Oh, what?
Like maybe 2 years later, but we were still in middle school. It was like literally the 8th grade talent show. We got to perform a couple times, but
nice.
It was nothing too big.
So that was your first band?
That was the first official band, yeah.
Nice. So you started in bands, and then going to 12, 13, 14, what was next? What were the next steps for you as a musical artist? Like, was there another band or something?
There was several bands, mostly a bunch of no-name projects that kind of fell through. Unfortunately, the Nashville scene is really good for producing, but terrible for like actually forming a band.
It is, man. You got Kings of Leon and Cage the Elephant, and not a whole lot of bands. I mean,
not since the 70s. I mean, we had the Allman Brothers.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
it's been pretty dead for a while.
Yeah.
I think the last like main band I remember coming out of Nashville was Framing Henley, and that was.
I mean, Kings of Leon.
Well, yeah, but Kings of Leon's kind of like.
I mean, they're very mainstream, but they blew up though. Man. They're from here. They're from Nashville, man.
Yeah,
like, they really are.
That's true.
But I mean, they were on a scale like a. They were so huge, man. And I mean, so it's kind of like, oh, well, some people were like,
I
well,
find
if it's mainstream, I don't listen to it.
I
You
mean,
know, that type of
I'm
shit.
definitely one of those people. I'm not gonna deny.
I mean, it's okay.
I hate popular music, but it's not that I don't
They're
have a
still
problem.
good, though.
Oh yeah, I don't have a problem
Yeah.
with Kings with Leon. I just like I feel like I don't consider them a band, sort of the same way that Maroon 5
More of a
is.
group.
Yeah, they're a group.
Like a, yeah, that's a good way. I see
they're
what
like
you're
a,
saying.
They're like a pop group. Like,
I
and there's
see
nothing
that.
wrong with that. You
Yeah.
can do that all day long.
Absolutely.
But you're not sex, drugs, rock and roll.
yeah,
Let's be real.
sure. So, middle school ish, early high school age. What was like the next band or next music project?
The
you got
next
into?
music project that actually did something pretty well for me was a band that I was in called Sic Semper Tyrannis.
Okay.
Now I formed that with an array of group of people,
Okay.
mostly guys older than me, just that I met off of Craigslist. I'm gonna be
Really?
honest,
Craigslist?
I barely remember most of their names.
Oh man.
Wow,
Wow, that's a crazy. I've never heard that before.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I just met these guys. Need a drummer. Need a like.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was essentially that. It was like just
Wow.
going through Craigslist ads and hit miss, and forming this like misfit
Makeshift-
Motley Crue group.
Yeah.
essentially. But we ended up creating this band. It was like a thrash metal punk crossover band. We toured the Southwest region for a month
Really?
after my freshman year.
Nice.
Did actually really, really well. The shows had great turnouts.
Not
The-
like Southwest. So like we talking like Arizona.
Arizona, Utah, Texas,
Wow.
Kansas, California, and we hit some
Man.
Northwest and some Southeast while we were out there.
That was got to be a hell of an experience, especially being 14, 13.
I was
14,
15, 16.
Man.
Yeah, so it was definitely a hell of an experience. I will say touring is a lot less glamorous when you actually do it compared to when you hear about it. Of
Yeah.
course, I love the shows, I love the energy, I love
Yeah.
being on the road and seeing all these people. It's always an amazing experience, but
I'm sure it's
there's
tiring.
Oh,
It's-
definitely.
it's-
You spend 2 months in a van with
Yeah.
5 guys, and if we
man.
didn't have like a tour, like an
Yeah.
RV or a tour bus, we were just in a transit van
I
from
know.
Ford.
Oh man. Oh.
And then most of the time we can't afford a hotel, so
Yeah.
we're sleeping in the back of the venue or whatever punk club or house show that
So
we're playing at.
were you guys getting paid from the tour?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
There were a couple shows that we played that we didn't get paid. There was a couple that we did.
Yeah.
It was mostly just kind of to get our names out
Yeah,
there. And
yeah,
it
yeah.
didn't cost us too much. I think the whole tour, we together pooled between 5 members. It was $5,000. And,
Nice.
And then we
Hey,
were able to
For
spend.
playing music at
Yeah.
15. I mean, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. And that's just what we spent on the actual tour. I think by the end of it, profit, we made I think each member got $1,500 plus the expenses
Yeah.
of like eating and living and being
Yeah,
out
man.
there.
Man.
It wasn't glamorous, but it was
Yeah.
definitely a hell of an experience
Yeah,
as a teenager.
dude. So how old are you now?
I am 21.
21. Okay. So, what was that band called again?
Sic Semper
And
Tyrannis.
how many guys did you have in that band?
it was 5 of us.
5 total?
Yeah, 5
Okay.
total. There was
Nice.
a drummer, a bass player, rhythm guitar. Well, I was rhythm guitar, a
Mm.
lead guitar player, and we had a synth player
Like, so he was just
on the
shredding.
on the keys.
Man, so all right. What was the next step after that for you? So
Well,
we're at roughly
so
15 years of age.
Yeah, Sic Semper Tyrannis ended up disbanding. We got a record contract offered to us.
Really?
I had my lawyer look it over. Essentially, they were going
Which
to.
is a smart idea.
Oh
it
yeah,
sounds
definitely.
Like it.
Always have your lawyer look over your paperwork. Never sign a contract. But I looked into it. They wanted to take, all the royalties of our music in exchange for paying for the recording, the touring, all that other stuff. Which, in retrospect, isn't a terrible deal. Like it can be all right, but I personally am one of those people that I put so much effort
Yeah.
into the music that I make that I refuse to have anybody else
Own it.
Yeah,
Like, that's owning it.
I don't mind if you want a percentage of it for helping me record
for
and getting me
distribution.
for distribution and all that other
Yeah.
stuff. Like I understand the legitimacies of music business,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'm not going to give you the 100% ownership of everything that I write. Fuck that. I put too much
Yeah,
effort.
dude. Kanye, I don't know if you follow Kanye on Twitter, but he just went crazy. Which artists have Prince, Michael Jackson, artists forever have been talking about owning their masters and how important that is. Chance the Rapper, even though he's, his
Motley Crue literally only got away from, I believe it was Mercury Records, because they had caused so much damage that they had to pay for and blown so much money on a failed album that they ended up working out a deal where Mercury, get rid of us, but you got to give us rights to all our music back. And somehow, I don't know why the hell they did it, but Mercury was like, all right, yeah, you guys
fuck
can
it.
own your music.
Wow.
So it definitely works out, and sometimes it's later, sometimes it's as soon as you start with these independent artists, and it really just branches. I will say the internet has definitely made the independent artist scene a lot easier and a lot harder at the same time, because all the streaming services, undercutting us.
Easier because you're only one song away, but also harder because it's so saturated.
Oh, definitely.
There's so many bands,
Many.
and hey, if you're doing what you love, I'm not saying don't do it. Like don't just fucking give up.
Yeah, no. If you're doing music for the fame and the success, get out of music right now.
Yeah, man.
Right now.
You got to do it because you love it. Anything really, man.
Right.
So what was after Sic Semper Siege?
Oh, okay. So after
Tyrannus.
Sorry. Sic Semper Tyrannus.
Sic Semper Tyrannus. Sorry, I said it backwards.
It's Latin for death to all tyrants.
Oh, well, that's a good message. So what was after them?
So after them, really, I had a kind of a dead period, probably about 3 years of trying to form a band out here in the Murfreesboro, Nashville area, and having absolutely no luck.
So basically, like the rest of high school,
pretty much,
essentially.
Yeah, pretty much the rest of high school, and even still to this day, like I'm actually getting together with 2 separate bands right now to try to like work something out. But it is super hard to find like talented and committed musicians that aren't 54 years old. That's another big problem. These, 50, 60-year-old guys, and I have no problem. You still want to rock out at that age, rock out at that age.
Yeah,
but man, you're not going to get signed. But I did after I was 16, so I ended up, I would freestyle when I was in school as well.
Okay.
Mostly because, being a poor white kid, I would get all kinds of hell from all different groups of people.
Okay.
So one of the things that I used to do is I'd be able to like freestyle rap just off the top of my head, and I was pretty decent at it, but I actually didn't really care for rap that much. Like I grew up with some of it that I liked, and a lot more that I grew to like as I got older, because I was heavily following that underground scene, the
Bones,
XXXTentacion, Kill Station, G59 Records, just all those guys. Ended up getting heavily into them, but prior to that, I mean, like I really only liked, Eminem, some Bone Thugs, just some simple 90s stuff, but I hated all that early 2000s rap that came out.
Yeah, really? Like G-Unit stuff?
Yeah, like
Lil Wayne?
Lil Wayne, Ludacris, Bow Wow, Nelly. I hated all of that.
I feel that. So for the most part, your upbringing was mostly like rock stuff. Like that was number one for you. Like,
oh yeah. From well, it was kind of mixed, because like I had on my mom's side, she would heavily play the rap music and the country music, and on my dad's side, I have heavily rock metal influences. I always leaned way more towards my dad's.
So tell me some bands, and because look, I love music. I've been to Bonnaroo 6 times. I love all types of music. I grew up on country and rap and all this stuff. Being from here, what were some bands for you that were like, they're really significant to you?
Well, the number one...
And why?
Okay, so the number one reason I ever picked up a guitar was Megadeth. Dave Mustaine.
Okay.
He is a musical genius. Like, there is very, very few guitar players on his scale. He has a very unique style of creating this thrash metal sound that's like almost jazzy, but like also intricate and...
Sorry, let me stop you real quick. Describe for me and the viewers... thrash metal. How would you, because there's definitely, all right, even in rap, there's different subgenres of rap, different subgenres of rock. Like we were talking about pop groups, KOL, Kings of Leon was like a pop rock group. Explain to me thrash metal.
Thrash metal. Okay, so thrash metal is essentially breaks down to a combination of, your shredding,
very high BPM.
It's very commonly called speed metal because it was very high tempo, very high based, and very high aggression. Like a big key factor of thrash versus other metal and rock genres is that when you are doing thrash, you're pissed off.
Yeah.
And like that's one of the elements that I love about metal is like you can't sing about metal and cry about your girlfriend breaking up with you,
Yeah, it's a
Blink 182. But
how do you feel about Blink 182?
So I like Blink 182, but I like to make fun of them for the simple fact of the
Where are you?
very whiny, but I do still like that pop punk sound.
All right,
I'm not gonna lie.
So thrash metal
is very angry,
pretty
political,
aggressive.
Yeah. It's an aggressive shredding style of metal.
And Megadeth What are some other quote
well,
unquote?
Megadeth is there's Big Four, which is
Okay.
like the Big Four thrash metal, the first thrash metal bands.
Yeah.
It's Megadeth, Metallica, Anthrax, and Slayer.
Okay.
And
the only band I haven't heard of is Anthrax.
Oh, okay. So you're actually missing out then, because
So-
they're one of the like hidden gems of the Big Four. Like they're still a huge name band.
Yeah.
But I honestly like Slayer gets hella
Yeah.
credit within the metal scene, and I love Slayer. They're great, but they're very repetitive.
I
Whereas
see.
in Anthrax, if you look at their career from like start to finish, they have always been able to like introduce different sounds and styles.
So
and,
what was their era?
it is all the same era. Like
So,
all these
like,
bands came
80s,
out
90s?
early 80s,
Okay.
early 90s. Yeah.
Okay. Anthrax. So, all right, let's go back to what you were saying about Megadeth, how important that they were to you.
Megadeth was a massive
So
influence.
that out of the four, that was the most significant to you.
Yeah,
For sure. Like,
definitely,
as just
definitely.
influence just as a human being.
Definitely.
Cool.
My dad had given me I used to make CDs and stuff when I was like in the kindergarten, like the old live wire you downloaded onto a blank CD.
Absolutely.
Because copyright's only theft if you're a corporation. But essentially, my dad would like give me these stuff, and he introduced me to like Sweating Bullets and No More Mr. Nice Guy, which is a cover of an Alice Cooper song that he did. And I would watch these videos, and I just loved Dave Mustaine's energy. And then I grew up and I listened to every single one of his albums like chronologically, because my dad gave me this giant cassette
And
collection.
He
that
had the whole discography.
And every time after that, when I was a kid, anytime Megadeth would release a new album, we'd go take our asses to Hastings and go get one.
Nice.
So it was definitely a family thing. My dad is a big reason that I love Dave Mustaine and Megadeth so much, but it is also personal.
Mustaine. Okay.
Yeah, don't call him Mustang. He
No,
will be pissed.
The first time you said it, I thought you said Mustang, and then I was like, wait, did he say Mustang or Mustang? I couldn't.
I'm sorry, Dave.
So like I said, bro, I love music, but I've never really. There's certain genres of rock. I love rock. I love all kinds of rock, but I'm not too familiar with like metal and that type of stuff. Like I can jam out to it. Like I love Black Sabbath, but I don't have like expertise on Black Sabbath's whole discography, that type of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
But like if you throw someone easy, if you throw Kanye to me, I can give you a breakdown of his whole like career, or like you throw like MGMT at me, I can kind of
you see, and those are people that like I know, and I've listened to some of their music, and like I can tell you some stuff that I grew up just like watching it, but like as far as telling you what they did their whole life,
right?
That's where my expertise is in the metal. Like
that's kind of where, and I'm on like the opposite end. Yeah. Like I've heard of Megadeth, but I couldn't tell you a Megadeth song. But if you played me one, I might be like, actually, I've heard that before. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm pretty sure the only one you'd probably know just by hearing, simply because they're not radio friendly for the most part, would be Symphony of Destruction. That's the big one that plays on the radio.
See, I'm not too familiar, like, especially in the last, probably more of my adulthood. I've been more hip hop and rap based, and like alternative rock. Definitely. Indie rock-ish.
I mean, that's just a sign of the times. I'm just an old head at heart. So, I'm listening to all these bands from the 70s. Yeah. Hell, right now I'm literally wearing a Stevie Nicks shirt.
Man. Isn't that crazy, man? That how Dreams just made a comeback on the Billboard charts because of that TikTok.
Oh yeah,
you know
dude.
what I'm talking about?
That is insane to me. That is insane. But like at the same time, Stevie Nicks has kind of been in the popular
always.
Always, but like especially here recently, ever since she did that
American Horror Story
at Coven, ever since she went on there. And honestly, I hated that season of American Horror Story, even though everybody loved it.
Yeah.
Stevie Nicks was the only reason I watched that season.
Dude, she's such a G.
She is. I love Stevie Nicks so much. Although I will say, their guitar player for Fleetwood Mac is
Nick.
No.
Is he the drummer?
Mix the drummer.
The drummer.
I'd have to look up his name. I know it's Lauren something, but essentially he plays completely finger picking style.
No pick.
And when you listen to Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks' music, like obviously none of it's very intricate as far as the guitar work goes. So like you wouldn't think that's very impressive because it's mostly just, poppy chords, rhythm going back and forth. But then I went and saw them live out on Bridgestone, and this man was shredding like Eddie Van fucking Halen. No pick. And like I can do some tapping techniques on my stuff and shred that way, but like this man's was picking it with his fingers,
metal fingertips.
I was basically like, no, okay.
That's wild.
So he's definitely like I feel an underrated G of Fleetwood Mac.
And I know the bands like that, they've had multiple band member changing. People die,
Well, I mean, literally, Fleetwood Mac was like famous that Mick Fleetwood would throw like parties at his house. And when he would throw parties at their house, they had a rule of, this would last like a week to 2 weeks. And if you fell asleep, you were kicked out.
Like a bender.
So, they were up for like weeks straight on coke, heroin, alcohol, weed, like the whole 9 yards.
If you sleep, done for it.
Get out. You can't party with us anymore. You better be able to do 7-gram rocks every day for a week straight.
Jesus. What are some more musical influences or bands outside, besides Megadeth for you?
Besides Megadeth, the Misfits and Glenn Danzig are definitely a huge one for me.
I know they have such a huge cultural significance. That's another band where I don't know a whole lot of their discography, but I know that they're, you still see people buying their merch at Hot Topic and Spencer's.
Although, honestly, like, I guarantee
that might be annoying to you.
Yeah, it is annoying to me because, like, I feel like 60% of them don't listen to the actual Misfits. I actually recall specifically in high school, there was a girl, we were both wearing Misfits shirt. Now, mine was the Misfits logo on the front of the shirt. Hers was, like, skeleton hands on the tits, and on the back of it said the Misfits. And I saw the back of it first, and she turned around, and I was like, hey, I like your shirt. And she was like, oh, thank you. And she looked at my shirt, and she's like, that's cool. Who's that? And I was like, bruh, it's literally the same band in the main logo. What the fuck?
Dude, tell me, put me on, man. What, to you, why are the Misfits even in 2020, such a significant band?
They're significant to me, specifically in the Danzig era, because Danzig was a big player in basically saying shit to piss people off that doesn't mean serious. The same way that Eminem did when he first released his albums, where he would say shit that people would think but would never say. Misfits did the same one. Like, they have a song called Attitude that's about domestic abuse, and like it's pretty fucked up. Like, I'll quote the lyrics. Inside your beat up brains, there's probably a whore. If you don't shut your mouth, you're gonna feel the floor.
Oh my god!
And then they have like songs just about like killing babies and raping people and stuff. It's like it's just totally insane and obscure, and like I don't know. I kind of find it funny that like they obviously just made this music to be completely piss off people, say the most obscure and fucking gory shit possible.
Eminem was doing that too, though. Yeah, and on a different scale. I mean,
and you got to think that the Misfits came out in the late '60s. Yeah. So in the late '60s, what's considered devil music is the Beatles, and then you've got these guys that are playing hardcore power chords with distortion, and they're screaming. If you look at some of the other punk bands like the Sex Pistols, you got Sid Vicious. He's over here cutting himself with like razor blades and bleeding on stage.
Oh, geez.
Like, they really just took their art to the next level by really pushing that aggression and that
in their
imagery.
songwriting.
Yeah, in their songwriting and in their playing. Like, it was both in performance.
It like the instrumentation and the arrangement of the instruments matched the songwriting.
They were punks, and if you tried to play punk and weren't a punk, you were a fucking poser, and you got the shit kicked out of you. That was how it was back then. Like, it's a lot more inclusive now these days, but back then you were in a punk group, you were a punk.
Dude. So this just popped up in my head. I had a similar conversation like this with this guy I had on here, Spencer, a month or two ago, and we were talking about rock, like the history of rock. And dude, there's no more like new bands coming out in the 2020-ish, 2015-ish. Like, basically what I'm getting at is we talked about how there's like 5 to 10 year periods where it's like, okay, you had what you were telling me about the core 4 band members. They had their moment, and then 90s grunge came out, and then like early 2000s alternative came out, and then now 2010s is what it is. It's weird how, I mean, rock and roll definitely isn't dying, but like it's in a weird spot just from an outsider's point of view, and I'm sure.
Oh, definitely. No, I agree with you. 100%.
You see what I'm saying?
100%.
You don't see a whole lot of new bands.
No, and over the last 20 years, even like almost 30, a big thing that's now is called butt rock. And what butt rock is that is that early 2000s rock. You know, your Breaking Benjamin, your Stain,
Foo Fighters.
Well, I wouldn't quite put Foo Fighters.
No?
Foo Fighters is a little before then, but close.
Okay.
They're on the bridge. More like your Seether, your Stained, your literally exclusive.
Alice in Chains.
Also, that's still 90s.
Okay.
I'm talking like what you hear on 1029.
Okay,
We play nothing but hard rock, the hardest rock, but here's the next single from Nickelback.
yeah, okay. I get it. I see exactly what you're saying.
That's what we call butt rock in the metal community. But that has been the biggest thing. And I understand why, because they have its simplicities. Like it is, you know, 4-chord, you know, pop music, but with a metal tone. It's easily sing-alongable.
Yeah.
And most of these people that listen to that music, you know, they're your normal 9-to-5 working day Joe. And, you know, when they save up money for a concert, it's a fucking event.
Yeah.
Like, they go out, they put that $60, they go see that fucking concert
Stain,
that they grew up, you know, being 14 and watching.
And they'll still put on a good show.
And they still put on a great show.
So,
and, you know, like, I can't hate them for that. I will say that their sound is oversaturated, and a big problem that I have with the record labels these days, especially within both metal, rock, rap, country, everything. They do it in every genre, is that they keep signing all these bands that sound the same.
Yeah.
Now, I'll go out into the local scene, and I've heard some very
Here's some
original
weird
kick-ass
shit.
bands. Like, there was a band that named Dead Watt that was pretty big a little while ago that they did, like, a ska punk pop, like, basically mashup. And they were all right. Their vocalists sucked ass, but, like, they had this guy named Les who was a trumpet player, and he was fucking
they
phenomenal.
threw a trumpet in there?
Yeah, like a ska.
That's crazy.
Like literally, he was a trumpet player. He was like going all out,
That's
and they had
wild.
this like metal background. It was wild, but obviously they weren't going to get signed because they don't sound like everybody fucking else. Yet you guarantee you, two years from now, there's still going to be a band that Capitol or fucking Nuclear Records is going to pull out. That's either just that same
growling or what do they call it?
Well, it's under so many genre names and subgenres, but we'll just say death metal and deathcore.
Okay.
You know, like
So out of the butt rock.
So it's either butt rock or it's deathcore or it's pop punk. Like, and those same three genres have just cycled over and over
In the last 20 years.
In the last 25 years. It's ridiculous.
Are there any of those bands in that group that you would consider like genius or like really like dope?
Oh, definitely. Especially when you talk about like the very earlier forms of like metalcore and deathcore. I grew up in that scene, so you know, you got Bullet for My Valentine. I Set My Friends on Fire.
I've heard of them. They did that Soulja Boy cover.
Oh yeah,
right?
They did.
That's really the only reason I know them.
Yeah, they also have a song that they did with the YouTuber Smosh called Sex Ed Rocks.
Really?
That one's fucking hilarious.
What is Bullet for My Valentine?
They do Tears Don't Fall.
Okay. What's Yellow Card? Maybe that type of stuff. You heard of Yellow Card?
Yellow Card. Oh yeah. It's close. The Silverstein. That's more like pop punk, but it's the same area of genre and same era of time period.
So, when did you start recording solo as Arkham Lovecraft?
I started
or creating
like I said, I started freestyling first,
right.
just kind of to stick it to all the little black kids that used to make fun of me for wearing generic brand shoes and stuff, and be like, that's fine, I can still rap better than you, fuck you. So it started off like that, and then I'd say probably about sophomore year, I was like, you know, I'd freestyle so much and win so many freestyle battles that I was like, you know what? I'm hearing these other artists that I'm growing up and following, like Kill Station and X and G59 and all these other people. I was like, you know, I could rap just like they can. And, you know, I don't want to do this specifically. Like, I don't want to be a rapper specifically. Metal has always been my live line, and that is what I musically want to do.
Were you a Peep fan?
See,
I'm a huge Peep fan.
I met Peep before,
really?
before he blew up once when I was out in California.
Really?
And he was a great guy.
Yeah.
I like him as a person. But when I first was listening to his music, I fucking hated it. I'm not even gonna lie, because I was a huge Lil Tracy fan.
Yeah.
But then I heard Lil Peep, and I was like, he's not bad, but I like Lil Tracy better.
They had this yin and yang thing.
They
dude.
really
and
did.
When they meshed, though,
I feel like I liked Lil Tracy because Lil Tracy had like genuine context to his lyrics that like were emotions that I could connect with and stuff, and he kind of changed up his flow. Whereas, and I feel like Peep, while I love Peep, and he grew on me much later when I was first listening to him, I got sick of hearing drugs and bitches.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't really care for the rap
Yeah.
game in the first place, because it's super oversaturated with that. And I'm just not a misogynist, so I can't.
No, I definitely feel that. But like when Peep and Tracy did come together, like Witchblades is like a timeless song.
Witchblades is amazing. It is still my favorite Peep song to this day.
And then Cobain, like the song they did together.
Oh yeah, Cobain.
Cobain. I mean, yeah, it's crazy how two artists can. I mean, they had similar styles, but they were different.
Yeah, they were totally.
They were different, but when they meshed, man, it was.
Oh yeah,
beautiful.
and honestly, I can complain about very few Lil Peep and Lil Tracy collabs. They're almost all beautiful.
Yeah.
I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't just huge into him when he came on, but after he died, honestly, he kind of grew on me, and it wasn't on purpose because he died. Like, I'm not a bandwagon poser.
Yeah,
it was
man.
just one of those, like, he kind of came on laterwards, and I was listening to Witchblades, and I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna dive a little bit bigger into him, and he kind of grew on to me a little bit. He is still iffy on it, but like, I still like him. Although, hell, actually, I'm pretty sure I'm wearing a Lil Peep hat right now, because
Really?
it's the what one? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Damn. I just bought a Crybaby shirt for the
nice.
4-year anniversary. Like just the white tee with the Crybaby album logo.
I will say I feel bad though, because I bashed Lil Peep a lot more than I should have when I was younger on Instagram.
Oh really?
Only because I confused him with Lil Pump.
Oh man. So how exactly did you meet him? Like what was that like? How? What social setting were you in to like meet the guy? You know?
I just was out walking about out towards the LA area. I was spending some time out there working as a studio musician for a band that went absolutely nowhere. But ended up doing that out there, and just kind of saw him, and I recognized him from all the fucking face tattoos.
Yeah.
And I stopped him, and I was like, hey, I listen to your music, you're Lil Peep, right? And he's like, yeah. And we talked. He was a chill guy. It wasn't like an in-depth conversation. I didn't know him on like a personal level, but I met him once, and hung out with some of the people that he was associated with, and then just kind of
dope. You met anybody else cool out there while you were in your time in the West Coast?
In my time in the West Coast, Lemmy. I got to see Lemmy at the.
I haven't heard of him.
Lemmy is the vocalist for Motorhead.
Okay.
You know that song, "The Ace of Spades"?
Yeah.
Ace of Spades.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay. Cool.
He actually died a few years ago, which is
man.
very sad. But the man died at 60, 70, so he lived a full fucking.
He did
life.
it. Yeah. He died a rock star. Shit.
Indeed, literally to the day he died.
I know we keep bouncing around, but see, this is what I'm saying. Whenever I told you before, I was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna get the ball rolling, and like I'm gonna have some questions, but it's gonna morph into this thing. But tell me, Arkham Lovecraft, solo artist. When did you start? When was like your first solo? I'm gonna say rap, but I know you have plenty of other influences. But like
the first thing that I actually recorded.
Yeah.
I was in my garage with Eli Vongverath, who also goes by Eli Black, and he's actually one of like my main music partners.
I've heard.
Shout
of
out
him.
to Eli.
Dope.
But anyway, me and him were in my garage. I'm 15. We were fucking plastered. Eli was really the rapper. Like I was the guitar metal guy. He was the rapper, but he had all the equipment. He knew how to produce. I didn't yet. That came later in life, but ended up getting in with him, and we recorded. I'd paid for a beat pack from this person called Groundbreaking Beats out in Houston, Texas. I paid for it.
Nice.
It was a little special 4 for $20, so I got 4 beats for $20.
There you go. At least you paid for the beat,
right? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I steal most of my beats, but I paid for them. Then if it doesn't say free on that YouTube download,
absolutely.
But ended up getting the beats from him, and called up my friend Eli. Eli came over. He recorded like a song or two for his own stuff. And I was like, hey, I paid for these beats. I've written some stuff. Let me record it just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
And that's when I released Falling Slowly. And that was actually, I still have that on there. I actually get a little bit of heat for that song simply because as a teenager, I was very liberal with the N-word ending in an A, not in an ER.
Wow.
Learned the mistake on that one, so condolences. But, back then, 15 didn't give a shit. But ended up releasing that song, and that was actually, honestly, I still think it's like the highest played song on my SoundCloud right now.
How that was your first song you released?
The
solo,
one.
like as
it wasn't a solo because Eli was on it too.
Well, okay.
But I guess if we're going completely solo, I
like,
released another song shortly after. Actually, before there was one actually before Falling Slowly. I almost forgot. There was one called shit. I'm trying to think of the name of the song. Unholy. Unholy was actually the first one, and that started out as I wrote it as a freestyle, and I had recorded it while freestyling in front of my friends, and they were like, "Holy shit, that was fire!"
Re-record that.
Re-record that, and
lay it down.
so I hit up Eli, and then I went over to his house actually, and he has like an upstairs where he had his like all this stuff set up in his room.
Yeah.
And I recorded that, and I think that was the first time that me and Eli actually hung out outside of school, just being like, "Yo, what's up?"
Yeah.
But
wow, so that's like 15, 16?
15 on the dot.
Basically, right after you got back from the tour,
pretty much,
essentially.
Yeah, about I'd say,
and the band split up shortly after.
Yeah,
or were you still associated with them?
when we got offered that contract and they were going to take all the royalties, I ended up denying the contract. So did most of the members of the band, excluding 2 of them. And the 2 of them that did sign the contract ended up just being studio musicians, so they get paid like $20,000 a year to play music. I can't complain. I have no hate against the guys.
Yeah.
I was just like, nah, you're not taking the rights to my music. Fuck that.
Yeah.
So it was more of a personal choice. So we disbanded directly after that tour because of us all splitting up, and it was just So yeah, probably about almost a year after.
Okay.
We ended up doing the rap stuff and recording it with my friend Eli.
So he was your first, like, you and him were the ones. How long was he doing rap before you?
Probably about 2 years before me.
So,
He was going under a name. I don't know if you recall this one, Young Sega.
I'm not sure. I've heard of Eli Black though. I've seen like his name probably on your profile and stuff.
Yeah, that too. And Andy definitely knows him.
Okay, maybe I've just seen his name. I don't know if I don't know if he knows who I am, but I know who he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was your.
Yeah, he was my main producer, music partner. We've written hundreds of songs together, and on our own, we've always recorded together. It's just always been a really tight packed.
Nice. So that was. Are you guys still recording together like currently?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a lot less frequent nowadays, but he has a kid now and a job.
That'll do it.
So yeah, it definitely does it. Yeah, he actually just recently, about a year ago, got full custody of his kid too. So it's even more of a hassle for him now. But I love Little Emmett, so can't complain.
So shit, man, you wanna play something on the guitar, or what were you trying to do, man? You want to tell me about the guitar? Tell me where you got it from.
That's
put me on the guitar world, man.
The guitar world. Okay. Yeah. I can play you something. I guess before I play it,
whatever you want to do, man.
This is just a little Ibanez acoustic. I'm gonna be honest. I bought this at a pawn shop out here in Murfreesboro. Got a hell of a deal on it because I swapped the tags. There was like a Yamaha. They want it because I looked it up, and this guitar is only like $200-$300.
Yeah.
It's a super cheap little Ibanez acoustic, but it was thinner, and like I have a Dean acoustic, but it's a bass acoustic, so it's thick as hell.
Right.
And not like basses in the instrument, but just basses in the tone.
Yeah.
It's still a 6-string guitar. But I have that Dean acoustic, but I wanted something like slightly slimmer for travel and just fucking around on it. But I got this at a little pawn shop. I swapped the tags of a Yamaha acoustic on it that was like $45. They wanted like $130 for this, so I was like, swap.
How many guitars do you have? Just that one right now, or do you have a few?
Oh, dude, I have a whole storage unit full of instruments.
Okay, so that storage you were telling me about isn't just like a mic and.
No, it's not just a mic and instruments. It's got a drum set. I have about 11 guitars. I have a cello, a violin, a ukulele, a mandolin, banjo. Just too many fucking instruments.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Dude, I know you were saying, when we were messaging, if you want to play something, man, you can, bro.
All right, bet here.
Yeah.
Move this down just a little bit.
Yeah. Bam. Like right there in the middle. Hell yeah.
Just a little something. something.
That's cool though, man. I cannot play any instruments. I produce music, you know.
Right.
I program music in FL and Logic and stuff, and like I record music. I do a little bit of mixing, but as far as like playing instruments, I've never done it, man. Like I know like the keys on a keyboard because like I produce beats and stuff. But
Right.
like yeah, it's really interesting. It made me think. Just whenever you put the guitar and you were playing it, I'm a huge fan of Nick Mira and like Internet
yeah.
Money.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, their production is great, and he plays a ton of instruments, and he is a god at guitar. Like all those guitar beats are him.
Oh, yeah.
Like those aren't samples, you
Yeah.
know. It's really dope.
Rob Scallon was a big influence later along the lines of like just collecting a fuckload of instruments. It just started with guitar, and guitar was really the only thing I played until I'd say actually when I got into 6th grade. And then 6th grade I started like branching out into playing some more instruments, but like I really didn't branch that much. I was more just for band. I did percussion in band, bassoon, clarinet.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
you were really in band. See, I wasn't in band. I played sports growing up. I played baseball. So
My dad wanted me to play sports, and then I told him that they'd have to take me back and forth from practice like 5 to 6 times a week, and he was like, "No, fuck that.
no, I'm good.
He's like, "All right, go ahead, be a choir kid, a band kid, drama. As long as I only got to pick you up like once a week, we're good."
So, I ask just about every music artist that I have on here this question, and it's kind of a broad question, but answer it. Just don't even think about it too hard. So,
Heard.
what are some things outside of music that influences Arkham Lovecraft as an artist, i.e., YouTube channels, movies, video games? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's literally you basically
So-
just listed them all. So you got
So, like, what kind? Like, what I'm saying is, like, give me like
specific examples.
yeah, man.
Anything Quentin Tarantino has done.
Fuck yeah.
A major Quentin Tarantino fan. Same for Tim Burton. I love his films and his art style, especially his like underground art style that gets washed out from the 80s. Like he did a really creepy ass Hansel and Gretel
Really?
with Asian, like completely Asian actors for Disney, and it's just wild.
Yeah.
There's comics. Comics are a major one. I've been a major comic fan ever since I was a little kid, reading, Lobo, all of Clive Barker's books of the Damned, of Verotica, which is Glenn Danzig's comic book company. He's got Satanica and a bunch of other like really amazing different comics. Video games, I'd say, I don't know if they influenced me musically, but they definitely are a hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely play games. Some of my favorite franchises is like I love the Assassin's Creed series.
Assassin's Creed. Okay.
Assassin's Creed was
I
the
never
shit.
played all of them. I played Assassin's Creed 3 because it was free in the Xbox store a couple years
Yeah.
ago.
Dude, honestly, 3 is one of their top tier games.
Really?
My personal favorite. So everybody shits on the first one, although I love the first one. I don't understand why everybody hates
Was that
it.
like on 360 PS3?
It was 360 and PS3. Yeah.
Was it like that? So okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
But the first one was pretty fun. I loved the whole story of Altair. A lot of people hated it. Honestly, I'm gonna say it's probably just because the mechanics of the game were really complicated. It was very much a game where it just threw you in and
Right.
didn't tell you what the fuck to do.
The controls and shit.
Yeah, and there's not really a map. It's just kind of go and guess. The map doesn't come until later in the game, so it was very challenging. A lot of people hated it. The Ezio Chronicles, which lasted like 4 games after that one, were beautiful, amazing story. Then I played 3. 3 was a good one. Black Flag is probably my favorite.
Is that the newest one? What
No,
was the newest one?
The newest one. Oh fuck.
It
It was either Odyssey or Origins. It's one of the two.
It was like last year or this year, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
last fall or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I saw like a bunch of previews.
Yeah, I
for
don't
it.
remember. I don't remember if it was Odyssey or Origins, but I know those are like the last two ones that they made. Odyssey is like obviously Grecian
Yeah,
themed,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Origins is like caveman,
Wow.
primal shit. So
How the fuck did that, man?
no, I don't understand why they did one either. I think honestly at this point that whole franchise is just like we're grasping for ideas.
Yeah. That's crazy. So
Although that could be said for a lot of this stuff that we grew up loving, like Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield.
Call of Duty.
They're all fucking oversaturated.
well,
as
dude,
shit
they come
now.
Call of Duty specifically comes out with a new game every year. I mean, dude, I don't.
So does Assassin's Creed. They come out with one every year, every 2 years,
I mean, but like
sometimes
man,
twice a year.
like Call of Duty they like rotate the game developers. They every year, or it's either Infinity Ward one year and then the other year, I can't remember. But like, I mean, dude, how many times can we play Modern Warfare before it's like, okay, all right, guys, this is Modern Warfare 5. We know that the Infinity Ward is gonna the gaming design is gonna be the same. It might have a couple different guns, but like, what's next? Like,
I feel like they, especially when they released Advanced Warfare, when they were like, "Hey guys, let's no longer make it Call of Duty, let's make it Titanfall." That is like the pinnacle of when that series should have stopped. And then now it's still going. And I mean, granted, I like the fact that they're doing the Cold War, but I don't know how you're gonna do one on the Cold War
when there was no
when
war.
there was no war. Yes.
Dude, I
the
said
specific definition of a Cold War. Oh, what am I gonna do? Sneak into Castro's fucking base and steal some papers?
Dude, I
try
said
to assassinate him with a cigar.
Bro, I said the same shit. Whenever I saw the preview for the first time, I was like, my friend Parker, he's like a big Call of Duty guy. And I was like, Parker, the Cold War wasn't even a war. Like,
what kills me is why is there no game that has like effectively portrayed the Civil War? I feel like the American Civil War would make a fucking kick-ass game. And I mean, granted, the U.S. History Channel actually did release a game on the PS2, and I played it, and it was fun, but, the PS2's game mechanics were shit.
No, I actually vaguely remember.
Like,
that. I vaguely remember that shit.
Yeah, I literally only played it because a friend brought it over one day, and I was like, "Holy shit, they actually have one
Civil War game." Dude.
But it was all right. I played it, but they could have done so much better with it. I feel like they rushed the hell out of it, and
because I mean,
it just didn't flow right. But
they did World War II. They've done Vietnam with Black Ops 1.
Yeah,
I mean, pretty much every other war, but as far as the 1800s. But honestly, I mean, they could work.
I feel like maybe
work.
I feel like they maybe think that just the attention span of the new generations can't handle having to like load chamber by chamber.
That's what I was about to say. Is as far as the technology in the Civil War, I don't know how that would correlate to Call of Duty because everything was like single shot.
Right.
Well,
that's not necessarily true because
Really?
I mean, the big reason that the Union won the Civil War was because of Winchester repeaters. So you had the repeating rifles, and you could fit 4 to 6 cartridges per rifle in one of those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You did still, and then you had your Mosenbergs and your Colts. your 6-shot, 5-shot revolvers.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're slightly limited. There was muskets for the most part,
cannons,
but cannons and stuff. But they had a wide variety of different weapons. It's not like they were in completely only using muskets. You had motherfuckers that had shotguns, rifles, and stuff. Because you got to think back then, the army really didn't provide most of your guns and ammunition stuff when you signed up in the military. You brought your rifle from home,
your gun,
your family rifle.
Yeah.
So I feel like they could work it in there.
Yeah.
And they still had explosive devices and stuff. Like, think of how successful Red Dead is. It is no more technically advanced than Red Dead.
True.
Except for trains are a little more prevalent.
That is true. Red Dead, they could definitely, I mean, they got shotguns, pistols, and rifles.
Yeah, that's all you need.
I mean, it'd be an interesting Call of Duty. I'm going to talk to my friend about that. I'm going to see what he thinks. Because, I mean, you think of Call of Duty, something like Hardpoint. It's like MP5s and MP7s, like fast paced. Imagine pop, 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 like at close range.
Oh yeah,
like it'd be interesting.
It would.
Like,
And that online gameplay would be hell.
Yeah, I mean, basically everyone would be using shotguns and like something like hardpoint. You know,
pretty much.
Everyone.
Pretty much.
Literally.
Until you get that one guy who's got the Springfield
Just
sniper
pow,
and is still
pow,
360
pow.
no-scoping
Exactly.
everybody.
So, Quentin Tarantino movies,
Quentin Tarantino.
Assassin's Creed. What else, man? Anything else outside of music?
Like I said, man, there's just so much.
Well, Also, don't think about it too. I was just trying to. First couple things that came to mind.
Yeah. Okay. So first things come. I'll round it down to the top 5. Top
All right,
5.
There we go.
Like I said, Quentin Tarantino, Tim Burton movies,
Yeah.
comic books, H.P. Lovecraft, obviously, 'cause,
Obviously,
you know the
yeah,
name.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, I'm gonna say the Jackass series, and I know that
Okay.
sounds odd.
No,
But like, I feel like the Jackass
it's a
series.
vibe.
I grew up watching, Viva La Bam and Jackass and all that other stuff.
It's
and
a
like,
vibe.
I've just always been into like the extreme sports and that extreme, just doing everything. Having
Yeah.
fun with life, not giving a fuck.
Fuck yeah. Well, shit, man. Is there anything else that you would like to ask me, or any other topics you would like to say before we get off here, man?
Yeah, actually, I got one question. So you're
right.
on episode 74. We're getting close to 100, and I've followed you for quite a little
Pretty
while now.
close.
So ultimately, what do you think your goal for the Slightly Daily podcast is? Because I'd just like to know out of personality.
My goal is to, have a my own building or / office to do this in. Making this a job, really. Making this a living. Because, yes, the Slightly Daily podcast is where the majority of my content comes from, but it's really just a small piece of what I'm creating. I create playlists, I have a blog,
Right.
a YouTube channel that I do a variety of things. I do like
Well, that's actually like one of the
So-
reasons I asked the question, because like I was honestly curious if was it just like a hobby thing that you like kind of just doing this as a hobby, and I can definitely understand it from that case, and if you
Yeah.
want to make money off of it that way, that's cool. Or if were you trying to like create like a media empire?
That's what I'm
because you are so inept with you got your journalism side, you've got your podcast side,
Yeah.
you've got your music side. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of ground that you're covering.
So, yes, it's to answer your question. Yes, it did start out as a hobby because I've been doing YouTube heavy, like seriously been doing YouTube for about 2 years now.
Right.
I've vlogged 2018 Bonnaroo. I did like a vlog for each day. Just filmed it all, came back, and then did each day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And that's kind of how I started the YouTube thing. And then me and Nathan worked on a couple music videos of mine together. And then I was like, dude, I'm about to just go all in on this vlogging. And then I just was vlogging and blogging. And so, yes, it started out as a hobby, but now eventually I came up with the slightlydaily.com thing. And yes, dude, I want to create a media empire, something comparable to like a No Jumper, obviously, something like that. But yeah, man, I want to make this a job, a living. I think that the market for, like how we were saying, and this isn't a knock to anybody out there making music, but the music industry is very saturated.
Definitely.
And the podcast industry is too, but personally, I don't know anyone has a I know one. I take that back.
Just the Bucky Booze girls.
Yeah, I know those girls. I know them. But like, yeah, man, no, as far as like just the full on YouTube experience, dude, I upload videos every week.
Yeah.
Like I'm in there. But yeah, man, eventually my end goal is to make this a job, man. And I think I can do it if, eventually, yes, I'm carrying the load. I'm wearing a ton of different hats. In a perfect world, I won't have to set up cameras or mics or any shit like that. I'll have a team and whatnot. But like, for right now, yeah, man, it's a hobby. But also, I think I can make some money off of this.
Definitely. All in venture capitalism.
Yeah, I completely forgot. But let me give you a sticker, man, before I get off here.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, man. Put it on something nice. Make sure it gets on a good spot.
I'll put it on my car.
Nice. So, yeah, guys, episode number 74. This was a good one. I got to learn a little bit more about rock and stuff. And you got any announcements on new music or something coming soon, man? Anything you want to drop right before we get off?
Actually, yeah, I'll be, like I said, I'm working with 2 bands right now that we're about to
Cool.
be creating some new material, so I'm going to be dropping that. I recently released a music video on YouTube.
Dope.
So definitely go check that out. Arkham Lovecraft, the name of the song is Cliche. Should be the first one to pop up because there's nobody else named Arkham Lovecraft.
There
Thank
you go.
God.
Hell yeah. So, new music video just came out. Possibly some new stuff from the bands.
Yeah, new stuff from the bands.
Cool.
I'll be getting together with Eli probably at the beginning of the end of this year and recording a new album for Arkham Lovecraft as far as like my rap stuff goes.
Right.
But definitely be ready for a lot of like actually not rap stuff. I'm going to be releasing some instrumentals,
Nice.
working with some bands, doing some stuff along that lines. And like I said, still releasing a new rap album probably beginning of next year.
Nice. Episode 74. Thank you, Arkham Lovecraft. Please go show him some love. Go like his YouTube video. Go follow him.